Hi, welcome back to Resin by Drew. Today I'm going to do something a little bit different. I have done this quite a few times before but never actually filmed it, so it'll be nice to film it. I've got a 12 by 12 piece of MDF and I've taped the back with masking tape. I've primed the front and I'm just going to put down some glass crystals, get myself happy with the crystals and the mirror, some crushed glass mirror, and then get these into place and start to work on building up some colour around them. Just turning it all over because it is this mirror on one side but it's grey struck black on the other side, and I want it so that the mirror's all facing upwards. I'm just having to turn each bit over, which is a little bit tedious, but the end result is well worth it. Going to add a few smaller ones as well. I'm just going to make up a little bit of resin, just drizzle it over and let these set in. Be back once I've made my resin. So I've mixed my resin and I'm just going to literally drizzle it on now. I don't want to pour it on because I only need each stone to have a little bit of contact with resin and with the stone or the mirrored chip next to it, and that will be enough to hold it down. There will be more resin goes on as time goes by and I start to build up the picture, but for the moment I just need a little bit of resin just to hold each chip onto the next one. Too much resin will take the shine away from the mirror as well, which obviously I don't want to do. There we go. So hopefully that's enough resin to start holding the pieces in place until I can work a little bit more with them. That should do it for now. I'll be back tomorrow once they've dried up and cured. See you soon. Bye for now. Hi, welcome back. So today I'm going to start setting down colours now. I've got some crystals that are a little bit loose still, but that's to be expected because there will still be some loose ones that will just get set in as we go now. So I'm going to be using 4 different colours really, but some of them are a mixture of other colours as well. So I'm going to be using Resin8 White Opaque Pigment. I'm going to be using Arteza Crystal White Mica Powder, and then I'm going to be using Resin8 Opaque Pigment again in Parchment, but I might add a little bit of Arteza Light Apricot or Raw Sienna to that, depending on the shade that I'm trying to get. And then for my darkest spots, instead of using gold to outline the crystals and for the highlights, I'm going to be using Arteza Burgundy Mica Powder along with Arteza Mars Brown acrylic paint. So I'm going to mix those up and then I'll start laying them down. The resin that I'm using is Resin Pro Art. I forgot what it's called now. Let me check. Resin Art Pro Deluxe resin, because it is a much thicker, it's a very high viscosity, so it will stay where I put it, which is what's important when doing these geode wall arts. So I'll just start off by separating some out. Little bit left in there. Start off with the parchment. A lot of it's going to be quiet. I'm going to be quiet while I'm doing a lot of this, and then I will be able to fast forward so that you're not sat watching the whole thing in real time. Hi, welcome back. So I've got some acrylic paint markers and I'm going to do some drawing, do some lines on my wall art geode, and then put a top coat of resin on here. So I've got a few different colours. I'm going to start off with a darkish brown, I think. Let's have a look. This one, I think. Sure about that actually, that's a bit harsh. Let me just get some alcohol spray. The good thing if you don't like one of the lines when you've drawn it is you can just go over with a bit of alcohol and remove it, which is what I'm doing now. There we go. Now I think I'm happy with that. I don't want to add too much because I like the calmness of the colours. I like the fact that it's not too busy, and I like the way that the brown's mixed in with the white. We've got some wispiness and a few cells forming, so I don't want to add too much more. I'm going to add a layer of clear resin now just to seal all this in, and then it'll be done really. So just mix up some resin and I'll get it all sealed in and we'll be done. I'll be back when I've mixed some resin. Okay, so I'm back with my top coat. It's a very, very thick viscosity, high viscosity resin, to the point where it almost looks white because it's so thick. So I'm going to have to move it around with the heat gun a bit. I'm not going to put it over the crystals, over the mirrored glass, because that's already well secured. I don't want the resin to take away from the gloss, the sheen on the crystals. So I'm avoiding the crystals, or the mirrored glass, whichever you want to call it. I don't mind getting a little bit on there, a little bit goes on, but I'm not going to go over it deliberately. You can see the high viscosity because the pictures almost, the designs almost disappeared underneath the resin. We'll put the heat gun on in a minute and move it around. I won't pause the video this time while I do the heat gun, and you can see how clear it becomes and how as it moves around. Almost like buttering bread, the resin's so thick. I think this is the thickest resin, the highest viscosity that I actually work with, but it is great for geodes. It's also good for jewellery as well, especially when you want to dome jewellery. It does stay where it's put. Right, I'm just going to put the heat gun on, move it around a little, and then see if we need to top up any areas. Okay, so I am probably going to babysit this for the next 10 minutes or so, just to make sure I don't need to add any more resin or get rid of any more bubbles. So that's it for now for this. I'll be back to show you the finished results once this resin's set up and I've cleaned up the back. But I hope you've enjoyed a slightly different experiment with me. So I'll see you again soon. Bye for now.